Yeah, my brother lives in Minnesota,
Oh yeah.
and I know last month they had hit negative. It was like negative 40 where he lives.
Just the actual temperature?
Yeah,
Oh no.
it was brutal. He said that they were putting out warnings that if you have more than 5 minutes exposure, you will definitely come back with frostbite, severe frostbite. And so I'm like, yeah, and he's got a pretty good setup because he has his own little ranch, and not a little ranch, it's a big ranch. And so he's pretty much self-contained. So he really doesn't have to go to the store or anything like that very often. And he says, no, we're just gonna just put some wood in the fireplace and just we're good.
But then
And
you
there
worry
was
about the animals
and there
too if
was
you have
yeah,
animals
well
outside.
they still have to take care of the animals. That's and but they yeah, they were probably hunched down for that lasted probably a good week.
Mhm.
So which is in my case it works really really well because he's always wanted us to come move over there. He says, I'll just give you, he has a huge ranch, about 200 acres. He says, I'll just give you 30 acres, just move over here. And I'm just like, no. That's just not gonna happen. It's like, I said, that is freaking cold.
Yeah, let me think. No.
You're right, exactly.
All right, so welcome to Down There Rabbit Hole.
There we go.
Start off with a quote from Sigmund Freud to kind of tail end our monthly theme. Words and magic were in the beginning one and the same thing. And even today, words retain much of their magical power. By words, one of us can give another the greatest happiness or bring about utter despair. By words, the teacher imparts his knowledge to the student. By words, the orator sweeps his audience with him and determines its judgments and decisions. Words call forth emotions and are universally the means by which we influence our fellow creatures. Sigmund Freud. While I don't adhere to a lot of his philosophies and methodologies,
He has his
dude
moment.
was tapped into something.
That's very good. I haven't heard that one.
Very,
very good.
Yeah, so again, it's to kind of just, we can start there and see where we go, but the power of words, I think it's a really good starting topic for this year, especially with all of what's going on with words and language in the last couple of years in our societies. So we need to empower ourselves and move towards living by inspired and empowered choice instead of debilitating fears. So
I think especially in today's society, it's so important, and we've talked about this over and over again. I was telling Gary, I was listening to a podcast yesterday, and the guest on the podcast was a scientist, and he has been monitoring the way that the internet itself, and then in the last 6 years or so, adding social media onto that, to the way that all of that whole mechanism is tweaked and moved and manipulated. And it's all, I can't stress this enough, it's all about words. It's all about the words that the system itself, the algorithms hear, read, whatever the case. Because when we are broadcasting now, there is an algorithm out there somewhere that is listening and documenting every single word that I say. I'm not sure about Gary's words, but I know they're talking about they're monitoring my words. But But that's how this system works. And it's all about words. And then this algorithm becomes more and more powerful and such. And this is not, I'm not talking Skynet or anything like that. This is people that are going in, scientists and doctors and psychologists and sociologists who are going in and saying, well, if we do this and we have the algorithm respond in this manner with these words, then you will get a different behavior from the people who are listening or reading or whatever the case may be. And I wish I had heard this podcast before we started this month's theme, but it's also a great way to end the theme. For us to really, really understand it, it really goes down to what Freud said, is that words are magic and they have more control over us than we can even imagine. And the direction I look at this, and sort of says this particular doctor, is that everybody on this call, we're adults. We're pretty much not necessarily set in our ways, but we have a pretty good understanding of the world. But what about the children? And when I'm talking children, I'm talking whether it be toddlers or the next level, and then you have your teens, your preteens, and then your teens, and even in the 20s, who are growing up with all these different types of manipulation. And what of them? So when we take 4 episodes of what we just did this month, and we compare it, and we say, listen, this is a tool, not only so that you can speak better words and such, more empowering words, but so you can hear what is coming into you as well. And then you can start to recalibrate your filter. When you're listening to, whether it be the news or a podcast or this, you can kind of go, well, wait a minute, what did that guy just say? Maybe rewind and go, he did say that, or she said that. It's like, that's, they just slipped something in, or they just changed the narrative and you don't even realize it, because we're pretty much the way that your television programming works is, we just kind of go into a trance. We're kind of listening. We're in the position, we're sitting, listening and watching, but we're in a trance. And then that information is just being slipped in. And when you slip something else in without you realizing it, it can possibly have a very profound effect on you or your decision making.
And without this just being a lesson about words, and how does it, and looking more at how it impacts and influences the reality we step into on a moment basis. Understand that it is an already existing code in the matrix that you've always had access to. You just didn't know how to utilize it to your benefit or to the capacity that you could. Right? Most people are just, again, it's just part of the language, it's part of what we say, it's trending, or whatever the reason is. They just don't put thought into the impact of those words. Now, we don't need to be, hard, rigid sticklers and never use certain words. That's not the point. The point is, if we have 60,000 thoughts per day, and 80 to 90% of them are the same every single day, and we're not getting a lifestyle or a reality that we prefer, then maybe we need to look at that 80 to 90%. And since it already exists and it's giving us a result, why not figure ways to hack it so that we can shift, alter, and adjust it to the reality we prefer? right? So being more conscious of what we say to ourselves, the internal matrix, and to others, the external matrix, where we have the infinity matrix working in harmony. And that's really the reason we did these 4 episodes, is for that purpose, to put that out there so you have a great foundation to go to launch off from in order to do that for 2022 and beyond.
Yeah, Ross and Gary, very, very well said, because words are actually the foundation of who we are and what we are without realizing it. So it's a great thing to create awareness on this. I mean, when I was very young, I loved to listen to watch television, those lawyers, when they argue, how they could save a life. If you're a good lawyer, you could save a life. Somebody who's a murderer, he got saved because of the way the lawyer argued the case. So he won the case because of words.
Yeah.
And that affected me. I didn't know, because we were so young then. And that's when you begin to love words without realizing the impact it has on you. And another thing is also about relationships. You can create a better relationships with thinking of the words you use and
100%.
how you use it. And also the intonation. I think the intonation as well, and so forth. So I heard, I think, was it Gary or Ross talking about intonation? Somebody said the intonation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the intonation is also very important.
Yeah.
And if we realize that much earlier, we could actually have even better relationship, whether it's with parents, because sometimes, when parents tell us too much, we say they nag. So we, the way we react towards them, or the way we talk to our children. So the intonation, how we talk, how we use the words. So in terms of relationship in every way, to friends and to people alike, your staff and all, the words and the intonation actually rules our life without us realizing.
Absolutely. And again, you think of if you I mean, there's so many components to it. And when we get into, as we did with Eugene on the 7-day program, we start to tap into those aspects, of language and words and where we use them, how we use them, definitions and all that kind of stuff. But as we go into the higher levels of the infinity process, into the certification training, so you can, train to certify and coach people with it. As we get into that, we start to tap into all different aspects of language and the words you use, the intonation you use, when you use it, how you can use words to take a person's experience of limitation and failure and put it and lock it into their past, so that it's no longer a reference they keep bringing up, how you can bring successes from the past and put it to the future so it becomes something that's consistently there as a resource for them, just through the words we use.
Yes, it's so
Right?
powerful. So
Absolutely.
I think it's a beautiful program that you put up. These 4 episodes, I missed one of them, but I'm going back to catch it.
Good.
Because of too many courses I was attending over
Got
the few weekends, and then tomorrow and so forth is all cooking, because Monday is reunion, Chinese reunion dinner.
Oh yeah.
Then on the 1st is with the siblings, and the 2nd, all of them coming to my house. So I'm a chef, home chef. Yeah, because it's Chinese New Year. Yeah, so Chinese New Year spreads over 15 days, and it's a lot of cooking and eating.
Wow.
Yeah. So I mean, it's beautiful. I mean, I would catch up on the one that I missed out, but I caught on today's one as well. I did it today.
That's awesome.
And it was really beautiful. So I mean, if more of us, so many of us, we could each spread more words about this, how important it is. I mean, I knew about words, I love words, but I never knew about the impact and the effect it has, because we don't think about it that way.
Yeah, well, we're not taught, right? We're just taught they're just
We were
something
never
that we
taught.
use to say words.
We only taught
to say
spelling and
things, to
words and make
express.
essay and all that, but we didn't realize the impact it has. Yeah. So yeah.
I mean, Gary and I are both fans of simply just listening to rhetoric, listening to speakers, the great speakers, and how they have, over the years motivated people simply just with their words. and their tones, and the parts of the sentences that they stress, and you're just like, it's so powerful. And I mean, I've gone to events where I'll listen to a speaker and I'll just be sitting there just in awe. And there's no slides behind them. There's nothing. It's just him speaking. And I'm just like, this guy's incredible. Just incredible. And other people, they don't quite get it. And I'm like, okay, well, that's great. And that's, it's just, and my wife, the first time I saw this one speaker, she was with me, and I was just like, this guy's amazing. And she's like, why? And I said, just listen, just listen listen what he's saying, and then how he's saying it, the intensity, and then how he drops that intensity, and then how he raises that intensity. And then I started taking that and applying it to TV and television and commercials. And I'm just like, you're just riding a wave. It's like, whoa, okay. And it's just all of these different things. And so it's a science. It has definitely become a science now. And but you go back before, it was really what it is today, where you had, like I said, the psychologists and the sociologists and all these experts. You go back in to the speeches of the 50s and the 60s, or the 40s, and they didn't know. They were just good orators, and you're just like, wow, and hundreds of thousands of people in the audience listening to them, being motivated, being touched, crying, cheering, and they were just words.
Yeah, JFK, Martin Luther King.
When I say just words, that's a very small just. That's to emphasize.
Yeah.
It was crazy. Yeah. I mean, look at, if we're going to talk about this, we have to talk about the other side of this too. Look at the speeches that Hitler did. Although I don't understand German, but I understood the intensity. And I've read the transcripts, the English transcripts of them, and it's just like, wow. I mean, they are wow. I don't agree with the direction that he took it, but you can kind of look at that and go, this is the other side of what the words can do.
Yeah,
they can motivate you. It's like what we were talking about on the last live stream, when we were talking about the word but. You can take but and unempower somebody, but you can use the same word in a different spot and empower somebody with one word.
Yeah,
that's the other side of it. That's the other side of all of this.
So I'm reading. I've been reading Will Smith's new book, first book, called Will, and he talks about his mother. And he says, I thought I'd bring it up because it was really good. It's one of the first. It's like page 5. I'm like page 300 now, but when I read it, I was like, wow, tapped in. So imagine having a influence like this in your life, right? So he's talking about the difference between his mom and his dad, and he says mom is quiet and reserved, not because she's shy or intimidated, but because she only speaks when it improves on silence. And I thought, oh man,
that's nice.
That's beautiful, right? She loves words and always chooses them carefully. And then he goes on to talk about just her, but I mean, just only speaks when it improves silence. And I thought that's poetic beauty, man. That's so awesome. Because she understood the power of words, right? And what they could do and the impact they have, because she was a very educated woman. In a time when women were not very educated or had the capacity to get educated, right? So, Yeah, it's a fun topic, and we've only just scratched the surface on it. There's so many cool things. Um, and the hacks are good ones too. So you guys should really, work those hacks and have some fun with them. Another thing you can do, another fun hack you can do is if you have a sentence or a phrase that either you say or someone else says on a regular. So let's say you do something like either you or someone says, I am depressed. I am angry. I am upset. I am whatever, right? One strategy, because from one of the other hacks we've done is, oh, what are you that's not that? That's right. We've done that hack before. What are you that's not depressed? And that gets them out of that. But another play, just to play with the words themselves, right? We talk about the intonation, right? So you say, okay, so if you were to do it or get them to do it, where they just change the intonation on each of the words each time they say it. So so the first one, and I picked it just because it's simple, just the 3 words, right? I am depressed. So if they're saying that, you change up the first one and say, I am depressed. Everything else stays the same. So you change the first one and it starts to rewire how the brain processes that. All right. And then I am depressed. Right. Or I am depressed. Right. So you change it on each one through the whole thing. And by doing that over and over, there's actually a technique that we do in therapy that does that. You change it over and over where the sentence does not have the same neurological firings anymore and can't create that result. Right. And we didn't even change any of the words in or out, or the direction of them, or the location of them, or or add anything into it, just using what's already there in the matrix.
So in other words, it's the way you say it,
Yeah,
and the intonation.
the way you say it, the intonation,
words,
the
but-
intent
yeah.
that you put behind it, the emotion
Intent,
that you put.
okay,
There's so
right.
many
The
components. That's why I
intent.
said we just really kind of scratch it, so you have kind of like a foundation, a liftoff point. Because if so you could say, like, if we start to throw some things in, there's some fun things with time, right? So so it says I am depressed. You can kind of change it from owning it. You can say, oh, so you are depressing, right? So now it turns it into a process instead of something that's static and it's just who I am. It's, oh, so you're actually doing the action of depression. And if it's a process and action you're doing, then guess what? It means it can change, and then it's always in change.
And you can take that process and also, I mean, take it to the point of lunacy, to where it's just like, really?
Yeah, and that's what you do. That's the process. When you do the exercise, yeah, you do this exercise to the point where when they say it, their brain goes, that just doesn't hold. It's just, they get to that place. And it's a process that I taught a whole 3-day program on in 2002 called Quantum Language Dynamics, which we're going to be bringing to the platform at some point for the audience. But yeah, it's taking the language and having language take you into this quantum realm of, oh my gosh, what was just that can't exist. There's so many other things that are here. And then from there, choose and then come back into reality and start to live from there. Super, super powerful. One of the most powerful programs I've taught in my 40 years in the industry. Yeah. Yeah, but it's 3 days long, so we're not going to go into it right now. But those are some of the components. Yeah, some of the components, and just the foundation that we're laying for you guys for where we have plans to take you, whether you're here listening live or you're listening in replays. The foundations that we're laying and have laid for you for where we want to take you we believe is, it's on the path of, giving you resources to shift, alter, or transform your perception of reality in real time. Right? So in real time, meaning right here, right now, and by choice.
And I think the key word that Gary's using here too is foundations. We're laying the foundation so that you don't hit that point of that frustration point. It's like trying to run the 4-minute mile, and you've only been running for 2 days. And you say, oh, I can't do this. And you give up. Or why diets, so many diets, fails, because we try to just go cold turkey. We just, pardon the term, but we try to just go right into it, and you haven't laid any foundation. Whether it be, diets, exercise programs, any of these programs that we try to do, personal development, that's our biggest, where we started with this, of seeing the frustrations that people have in the personal development industry.
Yeah.
Is they get charged up, they get motivated, but no foundations have been laid. Oh, just do this. Just do this. Go out and do this. Live your life like this. Okay. And then they try, but there's no foundation. There's nothing supporting them. But when we change that and we give that foundation, you're like, oh, wait a minute. Now I remember what Gary said the other day on that one video. Yeah, okay, I have to do this in order for this to happen.
I think, Ross, what you meant is that you're laying the foundation is also to lay the consciousness of it, to be aware, to be more fully aware, to be conscious, so that when the words are spoken and when we are going to use the words, we're conscious. Are we using the words correctly? And could we use better words? And the way we put across our intonation, think about it first, how you could put it across. So I guess it's the creation of awareness and to be conscious at the point of time when you're talking.
Yeah, you hit it right on that, awareness.
Yeah.
So
I think
when we're aware every day and we're aware what other people are saying, we become more aware of what we're saying ourselves.
Go ahead, Mary.
I'm going to say Gary and Ross are a little sneaky as well, because some of these things are laying out in our subconscious.
Some,
because I've had experiences. Yes. I've had several experiences where just exactly what you're just talking about, the words you're using, and I'm depressing.
Yeah.
So if I can tell the story very quickly, we built pasture fencing last year in the Mid-South in July. It was hot as heck. And sometimes the plan, you hit the wrong nail, whatever happens, and you get mad, right? And so my spouse, I adore him. We've been together for 40 years. I kept getting negatively, and I'm out there right next to him building this pasture fencing, and I said something to him about, I go, do you just want to be mad? And he looked at me, I go, and then I just said to him, I'm mad. And we both started busting up laughing. It just turned into, we just changed the narrative then, and now we use it on each other since then.
Yeah.
When we're slipping a little bit, and we just say to each other, oh, you just want to be mad, and we've made it something fun. And I have to attribute that to y'all, because I'm not sure I would have addressed it. I would have been too afraid to address it previously, because my subconscious was wired to back away or make it better if somebody was mad. It was my job to repair that, not necessarily adjust it. And my intention with the comment was not to repair it, but, to just sort of bring it to his attention, right? But I didn't do that necessarily consciously. I think that just erupted out of my subconscious, and the growth you guys have given me,
Oh, thank
which
you.
is an
Oh.
incredible gift.
Thank you. That's
Thank
great.
you.
So
Well, you know
there's-
what? That
there's
goes
my
to
story.
that goes to the point when I think I don't remember when I said this. It's been quite a while, but there's there's two methods you can do with especially if you're in a position of being in customer care, customer support, and just like that, by putting a mirror behind you. Like if you're at the complaint desk and you put a mirror behind you where a customer can see themselves being a jerk, they'll stop. Like, because it's
Good
like,
idea.
I don't want to be like that. I don't want to be portrayed like that. And then the other one where we've all heard too, where the people who are on the phone, who are doing customer support, put a mirror in front of them so that they see how they're sounding. They're smiling. Oh, I'm smiling on the phone. That smile comes through the phone. And says, but it's all about bringing the awareness of who I am. The example you use with your husband is you just kind of put it in his face. Oh, really? It's just like, no, that's not what I wanted to portray. But we don't want to portray it in our mind, but we do until we see it. And then we're like, oh, no, that's not what I meant. I don't want that to happen. That's
Right.
that's excellent, Mary. And thank you for the
Right.
compliment.
Well, we were both hot. We were both tired. We were
Yeah.
getting sick of building this fence. You know, we knew we needed to get it done. And the next few questions was like, do we need to take a break? Do we need some water? How do we frame this so that we can come back with a little bit fresher, right?
Mhm, right.
And so again, that did not come out of my conscious mind. Yeah, you know, that came from someplace else.
That's
and
awesome.
and to your comment, Ross, I'm trying to teach myself, because oftentimes we're surrounded by people who are wounded, and
Mhm.
don't know how to use their words.
Absolutely.
And I'm trying to learn to stop, take a breath, and I'm trying to figure out a way to say, did you mean that the way it came out, or the way my brain processed it, or in a way that's not accusatory? I haven't stumbled across that yet,
Yeah.
to get clarification about what someone said and the tone that they've used, because, you know, it feels like a slap.
Yeah. Well,
Right.
hey, I've been doing this for a long time and I still working on it. So, you know,
Yeah.
it's a work in progress, right? We're so
Exactly.
wired into our conditionings growing up. We have to unwire those things, and the all the neural connections that are attached to it. It's just not possible to just break one and then they're all gone. There's other things that are going to come back to bring back those old pattern conditioned behaviors and habits. I mean, as much as we talk about this stuff, we work on this stuff too. You know, I mean, it's you know, we're you know, we feel that we're, you know, further along the path than many people, but we're still on the path, right? We don't claim to be perfect. You know, and I think that, you know, at the time when we do, then, you know, stop listening to us, because it's just not, you know, that's just
You
the way
know,
I see it.
there's been times with my wife where, you know, I'll say something and I won't get any reaction or whatever, and I'll just say, you know, did that come out the way I planned it? And generally she'll like, no. Like, oh, well, that's not the way I meant it, so let me reframe this, let me, you know, and then if I say, did that come out the way I expected it or wanted it, and I don't get an answer, then I call up 1-800-Flowers. You know? I really messed up. So it happened. It just happens. It's, you know, there's, you know, in your mind it's this way, but between there and here, something changes. It may, you know, and as Jean was saying, sometimes it's the exact same words, but, you know, your emphasis was just a little bit different. The tone was a little bit different, or, you know, one word got switched with the other word, and it's just like, or I'll just say, I don't think that came out right, you know. and it happens.
No, I get it. I can be a little too direct. There's no doubt about that.
Sometimes
I
it's
don't.
good too, right? It serves you in a good, and it's the intent, right? Is the intent to harm, or is the intent to love? And if the intent to love is there at the core, but the delivery hurt, that's where you got to figure out how to make that synchronicity.
Well said.
Well,
Yes.
Often my intent is to be heard,
Yeah.
Mhm, sure.
you know, and potentially understood.
Mhm. For
So
sure.
there's a little bit mixed up in that.
Yeah.
And I've been reading one of Greg Braden's books during this month,
Nice.
and it
One.
really has sort of, which one? The spontaneous
Healing.
healing
Mhm.
of belief, and
Mhm.
that to me is actually run so perpendicular and intertwined with what this month has been about at the Infinity Matrix.
Mhm.
It's been incredibly healing, and in fact, I've been able to change rather quickly some food sensitivities.
Oh, sweet.
They're falling off the plate, and I've been working on it for several years. And it's amazing when those belief systems and words come together,
Nice.
how impactful that is when some of the stuff that's been pointed out in this book and what you've been talking about has come across very subtly. And it just made me go, and I have a glimpse. Basically, that's all I had, is
Mhm.
just a glimpse of how the words of my life have been framed, and how my life had been, how I had used my own words.
Mhm.
Just a glimpse to see it from what's happening in the subconscious. It just, I can't even explain it. It's just this little flicker in the conscious. I'm like, oh my word. Okay, well, let's change it. You know, we're done. We're done with that nonsense
Yeah,
because it's not serving.
that's right.
But so it's been awesome, and I'm excited for what the future holds for the Infinity Matrix groups, and what additional books I can read that supports what I'm learning. But it's been good. It's been really good.
Probably another good one after. I think you said you read it. It's damn it, is it Dispenza on placebo? You are your placebo.
I
haven't read any of Joe Dispenza's book.
Oh yeah,
So that'll be the next on the list.
Yeah, that'll be a good one too. So You Are the Placebo is
Mhm.
a really good one.
That's exceptional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's more science based,
Mhm.
which is, my
That's
preference.
Dispenza
but
style, right? So
yeah, it's a Dispenza style. Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
Yeah. Good one. Very good,
That's
Mary.
awesome. Thanks for sharing that, Mary. Appreciate
Mhm.
that.
Y'all have been life-changing for me. So I'm a big fan, and
That's great. Well, we look forward to when we can actually
cheerleader.
put on live events and we all get together in a room together and can freely embrace and connect and communicate. So
Yeah.
That'll be great. I look forward to being able to take some of the classes that when you offer them,
Yep.
when you begin
They're
to
coming
offer,
soon.
because I know that's going to be a bit more of an immersion, right? They say the best way to learn a
much.
foreign
Yeah.
language is to be immersed.
Mhm.
So I look forward to that.
Good. Fantastic. Yeah, they're amazing. They really are. And,
So
go ahead.
I did have some questions about the live stream
Mhm.
on Thursday. And
Mhm.
one of the questions was regarding the words that I can't
Yeah.
Mhm.
specifically. So I don't know whether this was a subconscious pushback or whether this was just my mind trying to chew on it.
Okay.
Understand that when you say I can't, in a lot of circumstances, it means that you don't want to really, and you just can't
Right.
potentially just can't say no.
Correct.
But there are some things, and maybe my belief system is cattywampus, I can't touch my left elbow with my left hand.
Yeah.
So
Some
you
things you can't
could.
do.
Well, no. So
I really don't want to.
so, so it's not that you can't, right? It's that your physical body has limitations that allow you to do it.
You're unable.
Okay.
There's a difference there, right? So
Mhm.
there is
Okay.
that, there is that. And it's also because we are holding on to the idea that the only way that I can touch my elbow with my with that same hand, the only way we're holding on to it is if we hold on to the idea that the only way that's possible is for them to still be attached.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Well,
So
yeah.
when we look at the I can't thing, and then the other question comes down to, which we roll down to later in the lesson, is does this serve me?
Well, I am
Well,
right-handed,
and
but
Mary,
you know.
that's why we followed that up with the example of the 200-pound weight on your foot.
Yeah.
Okay, I can't lift this weight. Okay, you can't lift it. But reframing that is like, how can I get this weight off of my foot?
Another good example, let me jump in here also. So another good example is a true story, and I think the movie is called 72 Hours or something. It's just numbers out. I don't remember how many numbers there are, 72, 78, something like that. It's a true story about a hiker who went up into the mountains and ended up falling in some crevice or something like that. It was by himself, didn't have, communication capacities, and had his arm stuck in between
Yeah.
a rock, and he can't remove his hand, literally can't do it. But for survival, I think it was a Swiss Army
pocket
knife.
knife. You just had a pocket knife.
And cut his arm off so that he could remove his arm and go and come back to safety. Right? So that's a prime example of, you can't, but if it doesn't serve you, then who cares? But if it's gonna serve you, if it's going to empower you, if it's going to keep you alive, you're gonna find a way.
Right.
Or you're
A
gonna
lot of us
exhaust
have-
every possible option until you do.
Yeah. A lot of us, our first reaction is, I can't.
Yeah.
And that's the main emphasis of that particular lesson, is that we just go, I can't do that.
And if
So-
he had said, I can't, and given up, he would have
would die.
died.
He would have starved to death or died from exposure.
Yeah. Right.
So, but he found a way. He says, like, okay, it's like, I can't move this boulder. So he had to reframe that. It's like, not how can I move this boulder? Because he was by himself. I'm sure that probably was the first reframe. How can I move this boulder with what I have or don't have to work with? But his ultimate goal was, how can I get out from under this boulder?
Yeah. What can I do?
What can I do? And I'm sure there was a point in his mind where he's like, no, when he realized I can cut my arm off. And I'm sure
Even that was,
I'm
I can't do that.
I can't do that. I can't do that.
Yeah.
He
He probably went through that for quite a while. No, I can't do that. No, I can't. No, I shouldn't. No, I don't want to. And then, damn, I have to. It exhausts all
Right.
the other options until the I can one shows up.
Mhm.
And then you say, okay, now if that's the only option that's there, does it serve me? Is it empowering me? Does it serve others? Right?
Got it.
Yeah. Right. And yes, with our current level of understanding of the way things are, and physics and quantum physics and what we consider to be the nature of reality, yes, you can't jump off of a building and fly. That's correct. But that's not going to serve you. So there are, yes, the physical and the the laws of nature and reality limitations in what we do, but that's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is like Ross said, it's the immediate default to not even looking at options of how you can do something before you say I can't, and then negating all possibilities.
And that's what Gary just said. That's the key. That the first time that you go, I can't, you negate almost everything. You just put so many limitations in your mind that you just said, don't bother looking. Don't bother looking for another solution. As we're
Sort of
saying,
sort of
I
the
can
same
do
way when
this.
you say I know.
Yes, very
Yeah.
similar.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right.
On the I can't, there's a good book. I read it when I was in the university. I think, or before university. It's called Jonathan Livingston Seagull.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, that's a
Seagull,
great
all
book.
of
Oh
the
my
whole
gosh, I
colony
remember
were
that.
telling that you can't fly. You
Yeah.
can't fly that high.
I love
And he
that.
said, I can. If you
Yeah.
think you can, I can. But the rest say I can't. And he was ostracized from the society. Yeah. So
That's a great book. Yeah, good one to bring up. Jonathan
Mhm.
Livingston. Yeah,
What
that's
was
good.
the name of that again?
All about that. Mhm.
Jonathan Livingston Seagull. It's just a
Okay.
half an hour reading book, very
Yeah,
easy
super
reading.
super short.
And the writer is Richard Bach, B-A-C-H.
Mhm.
I love his writing. It was my inspiration. I even bought a poster.
Nice.
I can if you think I can.
Mhm.
Great
It's
The
book.
so
opposite
true.
of I can't. He was the only seagull, and the rest went against him. And he made it. He could
Yeah.
fly.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's a
So,
great book.
That'd be a fun one. I'll get.
Yeah.
I'll,
Yeah, and like
I'll-
she said, it's a
yeah, it's
really
so
quick
simple
read.
reading, fun
Yeah.
and easy to read. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's lots of layers in that book. So it's
Right.
not a
It's
one-time
it's a
read.
matter of not letting other people's limitations be imposed upon you.
Yeah.
Or ourselves. And I can't is something that can be imposed on you through your childhood, through
You can't do that. You can't do that. Oh
can't
no,
do
you
that.
can't do that. And we grew up with those kinds of, like I said, we grew up with all these things to the point where we start to learn to do things differently. And even though I started at the age 13, there was still stuff while I was learning this stuff that was, from a alcoholic abusive home, it was still being imprinted on a very deep level in a very impressionable time in my life.
Mhm.
So I've had to undo a lot of that. I mean, the Gary here today and the Gary 10 years ago, even 5 years ago, even a year ago, is different, right? Because I'm working on evolving. I got tapped into something that called me to be and do better things, right? But it didn't say that, Gary, you're going to be perfect. It didn't promise that. It just said, Gary, you're going to do better things. And that's what I do. And it's the, there's the trap that a lot of teachers and speakers can fall into, and thinking that, okay, we've got it, this is down, and that's it. We're just going to do that. And that's what they do over and over and over. It's the same thing over and over and over and over and over. And while that serves people to a certain level, I believe it doesn't take them and continue to evolve and grow from that.
the trap is really that there, and I have fallen for this,
Mhm.
is that there is a destination.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's an arrival spot.
Totally.
Good one.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
You're getting off the train at, this is when you've made it.
Yeah.
I've had to dump that because it's garbage.
Yeah. And even if a way I would even frame that a little differently, Mary, is that because I've come to the place where even the idea of a destination for me it's different, I believe, than most people would consider and think of. And it comes to many years ago, I had this conversation with my wife, and we were talking about moving to certain places, and having to adjust when you go to a certain place, or that you're not used to it, you're not comfortable, or you got to find the right place. And I'm like, for me, it was like, and again, part of this is because of experiences I've had up until that point. For me, it was like, for me, when the way that I experience is, I can live anywhere, really anywhere. For me, home is here. I'm already at home wherever I'm at. The surroundings are incidental. So when we talk about there's a destination, I am the destination all the time.
Perfect. Great.
Right. And
Yeah.
that prevents me from having to need something or want something or yearn something. I am the destination, which makes it hard for my family to buy me gifts because I really don't need anything. I don't really have desires for, I want this. I don't have that kind of stuff go on because I'm content with who I am and what I have.
You remind me of my daughter complaining on this last Christmas. She's, what do you want for Christmas? I'm like, I need a belt.
Yeah.
She's like, what? I'm like,
my Christmas is I like new socks. I leave it to them. Okay, I know that. So every Christmas I get brand new socks, and then my old socks I throw away.
That's all I can think of. I don't, but there is always a list of books. So
Yes,
there's always my standby. It's like, well, you can get me these books, and she's like, I always get you books. And I'm like,
yeah, they're nice to have, but
you don't always get me belts, so it's, but
a book about belts.
So it's a point where our priorities just change. They're just like, this stuff doesn't serve me.
And that's what does serve you is fluid. What served you a year ago doesn't serve you today.
Yeah, totally.
Exactly.
And a lot of people hold on to that, right? Oh, that was the nostalgia of it. And this is the thing with my wife. It's the nostalgia. What nostalgia? That's the past. It's done. It's gone. Let's be in the now. Right? What's important now? We can't shift or adjust, but we can shift how we think about those things. But those things happened the way they happened because they needed to happen the way they happened.
Yep. Very good.
And I would like to say also about words is that it empowers you, and it can actually make you a very happy being and a beautiful being. Because if you use all these beautiful words about yourself in the night before you sleep, in the morning, and the way you think about yourself, you can feel a beautiful feeling within your heart. If you say it sincerely from your heart, and always it's also about serving others. It's not just about yourself.
Yeah.
And do it with lots of love and gratitude. You have to do it with lots of love and gratitude to be thankful for everything that is around you, and to feel the beauty in it, and you become beautiful yourself, and the feelings is there. So actually all these words can empower us to become so much more blissful. So that's what I wanted to share.
Well put. Yes.
So two things on that, Jean.
Yes.
One thing is I used Ross's suggestion to, as I was closing my eyes a few nights ago. I've been trying to do it every night, thinking of the things that I'm grateful, not even necessarily the things that happened specifically the day before, but just life generally speaking.
Good.
I have to tell you, I woke up the next day. Not only did it leave me feeling peaceful and lovely and all these things the next day, I was a rocket ship. I had so much energy. It was the vibration was so high. I'm like, wow, I haven't felt like this in a very, very long time.
Yeah.
It was amazing. It was a great shift. And it was a great night's sleep as well.
Wait until you hear our Sleep and Dreams Master Lab. It's
I'm waiting for that.
I can't hardly wait because I have a lot of dreams and I remember quite a few of them.
Awesome.
The second thing that I want to ask about, since Jean mentioned it, she said it's about service to others as well.
It's always about that. Yes.
So I'm going to try to pick appropriate words, pun intended. Boundaries. So in the conversation about words, I tend to overserve because I'm searching for the not necessarily the right communication, but the clear communication.
Sure.
Where I grew up, how I grew up, it was my job from a very early age to keep my mom happy. Okay, so there was this current all the time that there was this order to keep, there were tasks to perform. If for some reason I failed in one of those tasks, didn't perform the service, whether it was peeling potatoes, running the vacuum, making Jello. My sister is listening on YouTube. She'll laugh. Or taking out the trash, or doing these things, or babysitting my oldest sister's children because my mom didn't want to, yada, 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 yada. There were consequences to that. So I learned to serve a lot.
Yeah.
And the way to get out of that service was to either not be in the house or to withdraw from the exposure. Okay, so and I can remember doing this as a small child, and as an adult, my preference is to be alone.
Yeah.
It's still very much that way now. I have served, and what I continue to do, like right now, I'm helping my neighbor with his 2 horses. That's a lot of work. I'm helping my friend who moved her horse onto my property. Well, that adds an exponential amount of work. And I can't always see, right? So I want to relieve people of their unhappiness, because basically that was my job growing up. And so I overextend. And remember, I told you all I had 7 dogs in the house. I had as many as 14 in the house at one time. First, some of them were puppies and they were adopted out, but it was total chaos. And I tend to spread myself too thin. And so I'm trying to rethink that there's a flip side to that service that just isn't necessarily healthy, right? It doesn't leave anything left for me to recharge and to, ascend spiritually, emotionally.
Yeah, well, part of it, so let me jump in here. So I hear you. And part of it is assuming that isn't a part of your spiritual growth and evolution, because it is a part of it. So we don't want to discount experiences and
Agreed.
So that's part of it. The other thing is that it's a great segue into next month's topic.
Ooh.
It's actually a perfect segue into next month's topic. So next month's topic is the heart of the infinity matrix. And next Thursday, we actually start talk about the relationship with self. And what you're talking about is all about cultivating and nurturing that relationship with self, so that self can go out and serve others, which is week 2, and then and serve others in a more harmonious and integral way. And then when that happens, then taking that and doing what you can to then improve and enhance your relationship with the planet, which is week 3, and which then goes into our hacks in week 4. So that's a great segue into what we're going to be talking about.
Yeah, Mary, if I could add on, you see, when you overdo, it actually doesn't become a service already, because you felt that you are obligated, you have to do it. And if you don't do it, you're not considered as a good girl and you'll be frowned upon. So you do all that, not because you love to do it or you want to do it, but because you have to do it. The service that we are referring to, I mean, part of it, no doubt you have done whatever you have done. It has made you to be a wonderful person and a better person, and a person who can take more stress than others in terms of work, in terms of serving. But the serving that most of us would talk about is like a very simple service could be, to be the reason somebody smiles today, and then you just smile at the person. Or it could be, the person have no food, you are in McDonald's and you just buy one for that person. It could be as simple as that, to a little bit more, to doing much more for the community or whatever. But it is something that you want to do, not because you have to please somebody. You do it because you want to do it from yourself. So when you want to do it from yourself, it takes on a whole different meaning. Yeah. And you begin to see more. And when you do it, you feel a sense of deep love within you, a sense of gratitude that you have done this service. Whereas when we are forced to do certain things, because we don't do it, we'll be punished or we'll be frowned upon. And that is a little bit of coercion there, yeah, which then comes towards another area, which is self-love. We need to have self-love. And we felt that our self-love has been compromised. And we all go through that in different stages. Yeah. So maybe Gary next week will talk more about that.
And that's exactly where we're going to be going with it, for sure. Yeah. Because if you can come from more of an authentic you place, like connect with the authentic you, and it's not going to happen in 1 hour session. It's going to be work and process, just like a lot of other things. The likelihood of, the one stream making you, totally enlightened is slim, not impossible, but it's slim. Right. And it'll open up some more opportunities and possibilities for you to look at, to nurture who you are and honor whatever patterns and stuff you've grown up with, to give you the experiences, the learnings and the lessons that you've got to the place where you are right now, and look at who you are truly and authentically at the core, and start to live more from that. And then when you do that and you're regularly tapping into that, you're going to give just the right amount, because you're doing it from a pure place, not from a place that's been tainted by conditionings of the past.
Yeah, and Mary,
Yeah.
Mary, I want to just put my in there, is that I just want to commend you on simply the fact that you have become so aware of these situations.
First
how
step.
you're pausing to find the right terminology. You're understanding that, yes, I do want to help people, but understanding that that it's not having the effect on you that you would like. And so I just want to commend you on being aware of all of this. And that's 80% of the journey right there. Now we're just going to help you with the 20.
I've been working on this. I've been working on it for a long time.
Sure.
And what Gary says is about creating the reality you want. And, and observing, sort of stepping away and observing my external behaviors and how this doesn't work, or this doesn't feel good, this feels disempowering, that feels disempowering. It's like, so how am I contributing to that?
Yeah.
And really the universe, or whatever you want to call it, when you ask questions, the answers do come.
They do.
And Jean, what you just said about serving is, while you were speaking, like, I have to redefine that word for myself.
There you go.
That needs to be redefined.
Yeah.
Self-love also, as you were speaking, Jean, my personal self-love has been a reflection, a fairly strong reflection of the love that my mom gave me. And God love her, she did the best she could with the tools that she had.
All our parents did, yeah.
Right. She got a fairly crappy set. But my self-love has looked exactly like the behaviors that I've performed for my mom, because my inner conversation has been, when Jean, you were describing, well, you could be the reason why somebody smiled. Bam, my initial thought was, well, that's not enough. Okay, so it exposed itself. It exposed itself very quickly, and I know that it's there, but it's one of those subconscious fibers, one of those threads in my fabric that sort of, I need to pull it. And those things are, okay, my nickname at every place I've ever worked has been Bulldog. You need a job done, you give it to Mary, she's going to get it done.
Yeah.
That's been, I don't want to be that person.
Yes, and so what that
Yes.
does, Mary, and this
Yeah,
comes to words again, right?
Mary, if I could say something, is that I wanted to tell you, but I didn't say it, but I like to say it now, is that you got to learn to say no. I know it's not easy. I was like
Oh.
that too. I was always giving.
Absolutely.
And sometimes then I realized that the past few years I have been more on my own, because then I begin to discover more of myself, and I begin to get into a journey of my own, writing my books and all that. So we need to say no, because we still do, because the goody in us always want to service, always want to say yes. But in actual fact, there must come a time when we must say no. Oh, I can do this, but I can't do that. If you want me to look after for 7 days, sorry, I can look after for 2 days, and you can take it back, or you can find somebody else. It's just like recently somebody asked me, oh, I got these 2 dogs, and my dentist, I don't know where to put it. I say, oh, my house, I can't keep these 2 dogs for you. I don't have the time, because my maid doesn't want to do anything with the dogs. So I have to learn to say no.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes, because you have been so ingrained in always servicing and always saying yes to be the good person, you couldn't learn to say no.
Yeah.
So sometimes we have to just say no when our heart feels that we can't do it.
Yeah.
You know?
But it's a muscle, right? And it's a muscle, if you haven't used it, has it's atrophied and it's weak, right? And so it's a muscle you need to develop and build. And we actually, I mean, you guys are talking on stuff that we've got laid out for you already, but in our first master lab that we're going to be putting out in the next month or so, is the end of February or March, Foundations of Hacking the Infinite Matrix. In that, we actually have a very clear and powerful hack specifically for developing the muscle of saying no, because it's important, and not enough people have that skill set. So you'll get that in there as well. And then the other thing I want to mention, Mary, and then we're going to have to sign off because we're over time here. But the other thing I want to mention is, again, be careful of the words, right? If people are labeling you a bulldog, then guess what? You've got to then portray the behaviors of a bulldog to own that identity.
Right.
So being aware that you're being labeled it, you can change and shift that, and maybe choose another animal or another dog that's
Well, the good news is I'm retired. I don't work anymore. So
But Mary,
I mean,
I really admire, Mary, 1 minute, Mary, I really admire your honesty.
Oh, totally.
And that you're opening up.
Yeah.
That means you are fantastic. You are okay, because you know what it's like. You know you don't want it. You know where you're going. So, you are in a stage where you, as they say, you have arrived, you know what it's all about. And that's fantastic. And for you to be so open to talk about it. Thank you very much, Mary. That's beautiful.
Fantastic.
Jackie, did you have anything to add in before we sign off?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, great. Well, thanks for being here, everyone.
Oh, the week is going to come when Jackie just explodes.
Yeah. Just take over. And
Just be like, okay, I feel comfortable now. Boom.
I'm like Will Smith's mom. I only add value.
Yeah. Nice.
Oh, we love having you here.
That's great.
Yeah.
Okay, that's going to be about it for this week. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. This was
one thing you guys.
Bye, Mary.
One thing you guys should know
Thank
as
you,
well.
Ross.
Just
Thank you,
before
Gary.
before we share with everyone on Thursday, is that starting this week, this Thursday's call coming up, the first stream of every month will go everywhere, meaning all the channels. All the other streams will only be in the private group.
So it won't be on the biology, I believe, or
Nope,
it'll
only
only
be
be
in
on
the
the
private
Infinity
group.
Matrix.
Yeah. So the first
Yeah.
week of every month, so everybody will know the theme, and then they can go to the group and communicate, just because Facebook's just playing with the algorithm, doesn't allow us to do what we want on the page the way we'd like to.
Okay. Well, I'll
All
just
right.
start listening on the Infinity Matrix all the time that way.
Yeah, just
don't
go
miss
in
it.
there and log in on there. And then when you get on there, there is a when the link for the when the post goes out for the actual scheduled live stream, there's a link there that allows that you have to click and allow Facebook to share your comments with us, and then that way, so just go ahead and click it, and you just have to accept it, and then that way we can actually see when you do your comments who you are and stuff like that.
Yeah. And that's because it's a private group. They're just like you. When we set it up as a private group, it is to protect your privacy and protect, the group itself from, your spammers and things like that. But that's all that is. It's just because you're giving us permission, or giving Facebook permission to say, I'm in this group, when they're saying, well, this is a private group, so you sure, so that's all it is.
Okay.
All right.
Fantastic. Thank you so very much.
Have a good
Good
day,
night.
everybody.
Have a great day,
Thank you.
everyone.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.